Grateful you guys are joining, even though this is not the normal day we do this. We normally do this on Fridays, although last Friday I was traveling and this Friday I'm traveling again. So we did a Tuesday this week. So I'm glad you guys are able to join. I got a few things on the docket. I'm going to cover my custom Obsidian memory system. I'm going to cover my custom Obsidian knowledge wiki. I'm going to go over the Claude ban and what you should be doing. And then I will answer any and all questions you have. For those who are newer, it's been a big week. It's been a big week for people joining. Couple things, just how to get the most out of the community. Few ways. Number one, make sure you do the courses. So we have 3 full courses in the classroom section, right? My recommended order of doing the courses is Claude Code, then OpenClaw, then X Growth. The reason why I do that is Claude Code helps you learn how to interact and engage with agents. It also helps you kind of understand the more technical side of web apps and things like that because you build your own. So that's good base knowledge to have. Then you do the OpenClaw one, which gets you set up obviously with OpenClaw, which is great. Because you did Claude Code, you know how to talk to OpenClaw. And then X Growth, I really strongly believe solopreneur creatorship is the future. I think a lot of people will be getting into that. I think it's going to be very important to have your own platform, to build an audience, to create content. A big reason why I was able to just recently raise money to build Henry, my product, is because I had a platform. Like, just being honest, if I didn't have a platform, I probably couldn't raise that money. So, it just unlocks so many doors. And so the X Growth Masterclass I have in there is just a lot about how to grow on social media, how to write, how to find your voice, how to figure out what you want to talk about. So highly recommend taking that as well. So you have those 3, then you have a bunch of the recorded boot camps. School is kind of a pain in the ass when it comes to downloading the boot camp. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's more reliable than going into the classroom and looking at the boot camps to just go to the recorded video section category of the message board.
Hey, Alex.
That has them all there. Yes, Daryl?
Are we recording? If you're talking about recordings, just checking that real quick.
My man. Thank you.
All right.
We are now recording. Thank you, Daryl. Shout out Daryl, now MVP of this boot camp. Whoever is the one to remind me to hit record is the MVP of the boot camp. Thank you, Daryl.
Damn it, I was about to say
if you
something.
missed past, no, Tom, you got second place. Unfortunately, you were not quick enough to do it.
I didn't want to interrupt.
So highly recommend people go watch the past boot camps as well. That's how to get the most out of the Vibe Coding Academy. So from a questions basis, the way we do this is I will go through each of the things on my docket of what I want to talk about. I will then take questions on that specific topic. At some point during that topic, I'll go, does anyone have questions? Then you just throw up any emoji when I say, does anyone have questions? And I write down your name. Then we go through the questions. And then at the end, we can do kind of general Q&A. So at the end, I'll go, okay, does anyone have general questions? And then you can throw up emojis and I'll answer your questions at that point. So that is how we're going to do it. I'm just going to make sure, what is the local host address for the wiki? All right, let's do this. So the 3 categories or the 3 topics I want to talk about today are the custom memory system, the wiki, and how to handle the Claude ban. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go through the Claude ban first. I feel like that's the topic of the moment. I've tested them all. I've tested every model. I've used every model in OpenClaw. I think I might be the only person in content who's not paid by one of these companies. So this will be as unbiased of an opinion as you're going to get on this. There's nothing close to Opus. I want ChatGPT to win. I desperately want ChatGPT to win because they're the only company saying, hey, use our subscription, and you get way more usage with their subscription than you do with Claude. But the fact of the matter is, I've tested it with ChatGPT. I used it even post-fix that they put out yesterday. It's not as good. Opus is the GOAT. Even though I believe Opus has gotten stupider over the last few weeks, I still believe it is still the best model out of all of them. And so here's what it comes down to is I think you need to be using Opus for the API. I still think you need to be paying for it. You can buy it in bundles, right? So you can save money and buy it in bundles like API credits. It's still going to be more expensive than the subscription, right? And it made sense why they banned the subscription. They banned it because the subscription just subsidies. They're just subsidizing tokens. You get way more than $200 of tokens for a $200 subscription, right? And so I get why they banned it. They're not going to subsidize competitors' products, but you still need to be using Opus 4.6 with the API as your orchestrator. To save money, I think you should be using other subscriptions with Opus as your orchestrator. For those who don't understand the concept of orchestrating and everything else, orchestrator just basically decides what tasks get done, and then they pass off the tasks to other models to do them, right? So right now I do actually a mix of ChatGPT subscription, local Quen for coding, because 5.4 is a better coder than Quen, so I do hardcore tasks in ChatGPT. But you should be using ChatGPT as kind of your task execution and Opus as your orchestrator. If you're on the $250 ChatGPT plan, you can use it for all task execution. But if you're just on the $20 plan, just use it for coding and then use like a cheap sub for everything else. You can use Chinese if you want, or you can use Google. But this is my new setup recommendation after the Claude ban. I still think you need to be using Claude, right? If you think about the economics of it, this is an AI employee. You pay an employee right now to do something for you, you're paying $100,000 a year. So at $200 a month, this was $2,400 a year for your own employee, which is an unbelievable deal. Now let's just say you pay double that, $400 a month for API. Still $4,800 a year for an employee. Now I understand everyone's in different financial situations. $4,800 a year might not be easy for people. I get that 100%. But there's ways around this, ways to kind of hack it to get it cheaper. And if you optimize this well, like I'm paying like $15, $20 a day for API. Some people say they pay thousands. I'll go over into optimizing cost in a second as well if you're paying a ton of money for APIs. Actually, let me just go into that now, then I'll take questions in a second. So one thing I've been hearing a lot from people is, if you do this strategy, it cuts down your cost to $10, $15 a day. They'll go, that doesn't make any sense. I'm paying like $200 a day for the API if I go all out. Here's where OpenClaw is kind of broken at the moment, is its session management is horrible. And what I mean by that is sessions are created every time you use OpenClaw. Sessions are also created every time you use a cron job, right? So anytime you schedule something, you say, hey, tomorrow do this for me, OpenClaw, or hey, every day at 6 a.m. do this for me, send me a morning brief, or every day at 9 p.m. check my email. It schedules cron jobs. Those are just basically your scheduled tasks. Every cron job, every scheduled task creates a new session in memory. Those sessions are never cleaned up and they are sent with every single prompt you do. So if you do 20 cron jobs a day like I do, and you've been doing it for a month, that's 20 times 30. That's 600 sessions that were created, put in context, and is sent with every single prompt you send to OpenClaw. That not only is extremely expensive and increase your costs a ton, but it also slows down your OpenClaw a good amount. I got about a month into this, and my OpenClaw was taking 5 minutes to respond to everything. I told it to clean up its session context, and it's sped up like lightning quick. So if you're having an issue with cost, you're doing my recommendation of like doing the orchestrator brain muscle situation, and you're still getting exorbitant costs or you're slowed down, make sure you go to your OpenClaw and say, hey, costs are high and you're running slow. I am suspicious it might be due to the context you're sending with every prompt. Can you check to see the context you're sending with every prompt and check to see if we have extra sessions being created that we could clean up? I mean, I would run that either way, even if your costs aren't exorbitant and you're not slowed down, because it's just good just to clean that up. I don't know why they don't have like a kind of auto cleanup built into OpenClaw that cleans that up for you, but it's something that probably most people should be running, that prompts with their OpenClaw to speed things up and save costs. Now, with that being said, I'm happy to take questions on this subject. If you want to ask a question, just throw up any. Jared O, Diego. You only need to throw up one. Diego, man, I'm missing. Wow, there's a lot. Okay, there's a lot. Jorge, Abhishek, Frank. I wish there was a better G Baines, Hove. Hove, I'm just going to call you Hove if that's all right. Bill G. Oh, Ope. When I say your name, you don't need to keep putting up emojis. Tom A, Jason T, Daryl N, Naaman K, Patrick Hud. And also, let's keep the question. There's someone with non-English letters as their name. I'm not going to know how to. I only know English. So I'm not going to be able to pronounce your name with a non-English letters name. Apologies, but we'll go to you at the end. Let's keep the questions in this part just to this subject. I'll do general Q&A at the end. So if I call on you and the question's not about this specifically, then I'll just put you when we do general Q&A. So Jared O, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How you doing, Jared?
Doing good. I have a two-part question. Just basically, you know, what are you running as your QA manager now for Local Coin 3.5 as a main coder? Are you still using ChatGPT 5.4 coder?
I use ChatGPT 5.4 because the subscription gets me so many credits. Like you get like a lot of credits with their subscription. Like you never really hit limitations unless you're going bananas. So yeah, I use for those who are wondering what Jared's talking about, I use for my coding basically a manager of the coder. If people were familiar back in the day with Ralph loops, there was like a hot minute right before OpenClaw came out where Ralph loops were all the rage. And then OpenClaw came out and just totally killed off Ralph loops. But basically the way it works is a kind of manager LLM watches what the worker LLM's doing and makes sure it's on track. And so if you want to get super advanced with this, which is what I'm doing with my coding, you can spin up a new OpenClaw agent or Hermes agent. Hermes makes it a little bit easier to spin up new agents, like dedicated agents. They have like a built-in function that's like create new Hermes agent that just makes it super easy. But you can create a new agent that basically is the software engineering manager and will watch the engineer do work to make sure it's staying on task. Because sometimes when you go with the long horizon tasks for coding, they go off the rails. They don't build what you ask. But if you have a manager, which almost acts as like a Ralph loop, it'll make sure it's on the right task. So I use ChatGPT for that. Like, I know I'm recommending all the most expensive things on planet Earth here, but like I think it's worth the $250 a month for the ChatGPT Pro plan on top of the Claude Max plan. If you can afford it, do it. The $20 a month plan is still very good. They give you a lot of credit for $20 a month, way more than Claude. But it allows you to do creative, interesting things like that. And also ChatGPT 5.4 Pro is excellent. It's a very good model. Does that answer your question, Jared?
Yes. And then the second part of my question was, what do you think about using Claude Sonnet as the brain, and then to save money, but then if it needs like extra computing power, it calls upon Opus?
I think it works. Sonnet's still a very good model. It's not as good as Opus, so your results won't be quite as good. But if you are having challenges with the costs or whatever, Sonnet still works really well and is actually probably still better than ChatGPT as an orchestrator. ChatGPT as an orchestrator is just, it's unusable in my opinion. I get so angry when I tell it to do something, it did it, then I check and it did literally nothing. Like I just think that's unacceptable behavior. So I think Sonnet's even still a better solution than ChatGPT at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I might be wrong about this. I might be overestimating OpenAI here, but I would not be surprised if their next model, Spud 5.5, is heavily optimized for OpenClaw. And all these challenges we're facing with execution and personality and all that is just fixed. I'm hoping this is a very short-term issue. I don't want to be dependent on Anthropic for everything like we are right now. I just think they're like the most closed of all of the companies when it comes to like controlling every single thing you do with the model. So I'm hoping this is a non-issue in the next couple of weeks when 5.5 comes out.
Are you still depending on Anthropic for Heartbeat instead of, like using Haiku after post ban?
I'm using Haiku for the Heartbeat.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank
just because I have the API key in there, so it was easier to say, hey, use Haiku. It's like, all right, sounds good. It's just easy to use those models.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jared. I appreciate the question. Let me pull up my notepad again. Diego.
Hey, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Thanks so much for everything you do. So yeah, my question is very much regarding cost optimization, because I spent over the last 7 days around $500, and I kind of think I missed the boat on the infinite APIs from Anthropic. So yeah, I wanted to understand how to optimize costs given my hardware. It's M5, a MacBook M5 64 gigabytes, and my main project right now is on investments. So I invest for a long time, and I'm trying to create a system in OpenClaw to help me out with investments. And I wanted to better understand how to like optimize the costs. So one of the things quick question, is it still worth it, the Anthropic Max $200 plan? And yes, to have it like on top of the ChatGPT, I don't quite understand. So isn't like, are we still getting free APIs with that plan or not?
So good question. No, you're not. You never get free API. It's the two options are pay for the API or connect it to your subscription, which is subsidized tokens, right? All a subscription is hey, you pay us $200 a month, we'll give you $1,000 a month of tokens, right? So we're giving you like we're subsidizing your tokens, right? I still believe if you're doing hardcore coding, vibe coding, Claude Code is better than OpenClaw for hardcore vibe. Like if you're building like a dedicated app, right? Like right now I'm building Henry. I use Claude Code as the main driver to build. I do not use OpenClaw. I use OpenClaw kind of as a strategist and asking questions and design, but I don't use it for hardcore coding. So I think I'd imagine most people in this, not everyone, but most people in the community are looking to build businesses, create things, create products. That's why I still think that Claude $200 a month plan is worth it, because I believe Claude Code is the best vibe coding tool out there. I've given Codex my best shot. I use Codex a ton. I really want Codex to be the best, but the fact of the matter is Codex is just not good as Claude Code. It just isn't. No matter what people are saying online, like I've hardcore been using them the last couple months. In no way have I seen matching performance from Codex. So I think it's worth the $200 a month for Claude, so you can get the Claude Code performance if you're into vibe coding and building things. And then ChatGPT, I think, is also worth it because you can actually plug that in OpenClaw and use that for a lot of task execution.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I'm not coding a lot. What I'm doing is like I'm building some small tools to like get lots of data from some sources, from X and etc. to help me out to build my investment strategies. So you're recommending that $200 plan only if I'm actually like hardcore coding, which I don't think is the case. I'm not making any product at the moment yet. So might not like be a good option for me.
Yeah, if you're not coding, then you're probably just good with ChatGPT subscription. That's really the only two advantages I see at the moment for Claude are OpenClaw and coding. I mean, yeah, unless you're super into Claude Cowork, but the only advantage I see to Claude Cowork is it's just like very good with like spreadsheets and documents. Like if you're just hardcore into spreadsheets and documents, Claude Cowork kind of beats OpenClaw there. But other than that, I like OpenClaw better for everything else. So, yeah, that's my answer. And I would not be surprised if ChatGPT catches up to Claude Code, if Codex catches up to Claude Code in the next release. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, sounds good. I think I'll
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll try the $250 GPT ChatGPT subscription. I think that's a good shout. So, and on the system that I'm building, Alex, I'm getting like a lot of data from lots of places, and so I was wondering if I should build kind of a funnel, so perhaps like the bulk of the data is analyzed by like cheap local models, so that they can like make sense of that chunk of data, and then build something that is a little bit more sophisticated, then a more intelligent model can work on the output of the smaller models. And then for the final strategic investment decision of that day, then I have like Opus on top, rather than have like Opus to take a look at all the sources of data that I'm looking. Does that make sense from a cost perspective to have like local models to work with the bulk of the
you
data
have a
and
good
then build
device.
up?
You have you said 64 gigabyte M5 MacBook Pro. That's a very strong device. You'll probably be able to run a good Gemma model on there, and you'll be able to give it a lot of your simple tasks, kind of simple data processing or simple web in like fetching information off the web, and then processing that in some sort of way, formatting it, and then giving it to Opus to do final kind of calculations or whatever final work you need on it.
Okay, sounds good. So Gemma 4 will be better than I'm using like Quen 3.5 for that. So Gemma will be that for this kind of stuff. Then
yes, yep.
Okay, no, sounds good. And my final question, Alex, is I remember in another live that you were talking about that local models, they kind of can optimize for a certain result, right? Like very quick training. And I was wondering, do you think that will be possible? That's what I'm trying to do, to create like OpenClaw, where the thing that it is trying to optimize is like return on investment, and try to make it learn like day by day with different. I have like a virtual fund, like a fake money fund, just for my OpenClaw to play around to see which investment strategies work better or not. And I wanted to like learn every day. And I just wonder if like OpenClaw, from your perspective, is a system where such thing will be possible, to create a system that learns to invest and try to optimize to that goal of optimized return on investment.
Yeah, I mean, there's different things you can do with like auto research. Like it'll especially work well for looking at historic investment, right? Maybe auto research where it comes up with a new research strategy and then looks back and tests it on old data to see how it would perform and then constantly optimizes that strategy. I think that can work. I'm just going to be super duper honest with you. This is what I tell everyone who's trying to use OpenClaw with investing. Like, I think it could be fine with investing. I don't recommend it for trading. I think it's kind of a big trap people fall into with OpenClaw and AI. Is like, oh, I'm going to use it to trade. I'm not saying this is what you're doing. Oh, I'm going to use it to trade shit coins. I'm going to use it to do, bet if Bitcoin goes up over the next hour, things like that. And I'm not saying this is what you're doing at all. I'm just saying I don't think it's a winning strategy. Trading with AI, trading with OpenClaw. I don't think, you're going, and I'm not, again, not you, Diego. I'm not saying this is what you're doing. Anytime people ask about investing with OpenClaw, I like to put this caveat out there. When you trade, when I say trade, it's different than investing. Like if you're thinking, oh, how can I build a nice long-term portfolio? That's fine. Trading though, you're going up against the best of the best. There's people who work for Goldman Sachs getting paid $20 million a year to figure out how to trade 0.0001 milliseconds faster than everyone else, right?
Mhm.
And so it's going to be tough to beat those people with an OpenClaw that takes like 15 seconds to talk to Opus, right? So I just want to put that caveat out there. But if you're talking investing, then yeah, I think there's different ways you can test different investment strategies.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Yeah, just to be clear, I invest for a long time already, and I'm just trying to apply what I know in my strategies and automate it into like OpenClaw, and it's like medium long term investing. So yeah, it's not like so much trading.
Cool.
Is just trying to use the strategy that I already do, but kind of automate and try to improve as much as I can. So do you think that will be kind of possible? Okay.
I think so. I think you can do some auto research stuff there. That'd be really cool. Like testing new strategies and experimenting with new strategies against past historical performance. I would go to your OpenClaw and I'd say, how can we use Karpathy's auto research framework to test historical investment strategies? I bet it would come up with a really good system for you.
Oh, that's good. Karpathy's is the name.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, there's a very famous AI researcher named Andre Karpathy. He worked with like Elon, he worked like OpenAI, very, very smart, looked at as one of the geniuses in the space. He came up with a framework called auto research, where every 5 minutes, your AI does some sort of experiment on itself, on an investment strategy, on anything. And it tests it against a measurement, a metric. If it beats that metric, it implements the experiment. If it doesn't beat the metric, it deletes the experiment. And so it'll run this on a loop every 5 minutes. And the thesis is that over enough time, it will optimize whatever it's experimenting on by running these strategies over and over and over and over again.
Okay. No, this can be done. Is it like possible only with the local model, or you can like inside OpenClaw have a framework to
you
do
can
that?
do it with, it's recommended with a local model because you're literally crushing tokens every 5 minutes around the clock. I mean, you could do it so you do a cloud model, but it only does it for like a couple hours a day to save money. So yeah, but it's a really powerful framework that I recommend everyone checks out because it can be applied in many different ways. Like I've been using it to optimize system prompts for an app I'm building. And so there's a lot of different things you can do. So I would recommend taking auto research, going to your OpenClaw and saying, how can I apply this framework to workflows we're doing currently?
No, sounds good. And last thing might be useful for everyone. Do you have a plan, Alex, to perhaps provide some recommendations in terms of hardware? Okay, with this hardware, you could go with this model. And if you want something that is like closer to very good level of orchestration, I use like this local model, and we might need this hardware, something along those lines. I remember you said that there is a new Mac Studio coming up, so we might not save and wait for it to come up in June. So yeah, just wondering if you could at some point give some hardware recommendations and
I'll
the model
do
that would
a
work together.
video in the course on hardware recommendations. I'll go through like every tier of hardware and talk about which models you should be doing. I'll make a video on that because it'll take like 15 minutes. So I'll do that.
No, that's good. Thanks so much, Alex. Very helpful.
Appreciate you, Diego. Let's go to OPE. And listen, I have like literally 15 names on this list. Let's just do it to one question per person, just because I have two more subjects I want to go through, and then at the end it'll be the Wild West, and you can just rip questions at me like a madman. So let's go to OPE.
You can push me to general if that helps. Like the last question kind of answered my question.
Is your question general? Or is your question about the subject we went through, my man?
I mean, it's about the subject we went through, but I'm typing in my guy right now, all the things you've been recommending to the other folks, and I think he's getting the answer, but I want to make sure that's ready. Does that make sense?
Let it rip. OPE, let it rip.
Well, it's just about the consumption, man. I spent $200 yesterday, and I'm like, I've done all the optimizations that you did, cleared out old sessions. I have my main brain 4.6, orchestrating and pushing everything off to GPT 5.4. But it's still like yesterday I spent $200, and then so that happened. And then yeah, bro. Just on the note, everyone who said that Claude Code, this kills OpenClaw. I've literally spent the last 4 days straight trying to figure out how to replace OpenClaw with Claude Code. It doesn't work. And I was fighting with billionaires on Twitter, bro. This David Kramer idiot from Century, billionaire.
Who the hell is David Kramer?
He owns Century. Anyways, I basically, here's a great analogy for Twitter. Like all the guys that use Claude Code are like in the cuck chair at the hotel room watching us use Claude treat Opus 4.6 the way it wants to be treated. So sorry for that TMI, but anyways, it's so true, dude. Claude Code sucks.
Yeah, I think Claude Code's great for what it's built for, which is coding. The people who go online and say it's a replacement for OpenClaw or Claude Cowork's a replacement for OpenClaw are just fundamentally like either not using OpenClaw correctly or just, I think this is a more correct. They just don't know what OpenClaw is and like don't use it at all. They're just very, very, very different tools. So you cannot replace OpenClaw with Claude Code or Claude Cowork. As for your optimization, what are you doing? What's your use case with OpenClaw?
Well, I had like five projects basically running, right? I don't remember. I replaced like $9,000 of VAs and Shopify apps and all these tools I was using for my e-commerce business. And now it's like, well, now I'm going to pay Anthropic $9,000 a month, right? So I'm just building apps, like different web apps for my VA teams to use. I have one that's like a Photoshop replacement. It's just a minimalist version of like a Canva, you could say. But it's still just going through the questions and theorizing our workflow. It's like burning through a whole bunch. And I just did another audit now, waiting for it to come back on our usage since Saturday at noon. So maybe, like I said, I could push it back. I'll have that actual data on it. But yeah, it just feels like it's using a lot more than I expected. But then I just found out I maxed out I had the wrong OpenAI API on a $20 plan, so I just did that to $200. So I think basically what's happening was I thought I was using GPT 5.4 for building, but it was actually just defaulting back and failing to Opus 4.6 because 5.4 failed my rate limits or whatever on my $20 plan.
Yeah, there might be one or two things happening, either what you just described there, or Opus just might be lying to you. It's something I've seen before, or it's just said, oh yeah, I gave that to ChatGPT. Then I look at what happened and it just did not give it to ChatGPT. It just did it itself. Are you using sub agents? Are you using separate agents? What was your setup?
Yeah, so I have my main agent, and then I have basically all my categories or topics of discussion in different Discord channels. And then I have a sub agent for building, and then I have a sub agent monitoring our help desk tickets that are coming through on the custom apps.
Yeah, I would figure out how to validate to make sure the things are getting passed off to ChatGPT correctly. If you're on the subscription plan and most things are getting passed off to ChatGPT, it would make no sense that it's costing like hundreds of dollars a day to run all of this. So something tells me Opus is lying to you. I would I'd work with your agent, your OpenClaw, and I'd be like, we need to validate that the right work is going to the right agents. Can we do some sort of cost monitoring or usage monitoring so I can verify you're giving the right task to the right agents for this?
Love it. Okay, great.
I
will
highly
do that.
suspect that's what's happening because I use OpenClaw a good amount. I'm not spending hundreds of dollars a day on it.
Yeah, and it was weird because like right before you caught on to the whole sessions being open thing, burning through usage, I was like using 99%, or I was using all of my usage for the $200 plan on Claude Pro Max within like 4 days. Then I audited everything, pushed all the muscle work to GPT 5.4, and I was only using 40% a week based off of the new kind of after post audit world of workflow. So now it switched to API costs, and now I'm back to where I was. It doesn't make any sense to me after I got it basically down to never heating my Pro Max plan. And I'm on this thing, honestly, probably more than you because I don't make videos. Like I'm on here 18 hours a day nonstop, 7 different Discord channels going, Telegram, everything, building. And then all of a sudden, since it started charging by API usage, now all of a sudden it's kind of back up to using a lot more than it was the week prior. So I'll just do another audit and see what it comes back with, and then make sure that the muscles are actually using the right agents on the proper models.
That, and yeah, I would also just double check what's being sent in context, make sure the sessions are cleaned up, things like that. Because when I cleaned up the sessions, it took like a few days of it saying, no, that's not included in context. No, that's not included in context, until it finally was like, you know what, it is included in context. So I would double check that as well.
Oh yeah, and then sorry, last question. You keep saying $250 Claude or OpenAI Codex, $250. Mine's only $200. Is that like just a thing you're saying wrong, or is it actually that? And then
I might be saying it wrong, to be quite honest with you. I might just be saying it wrong over and over and over and over again. So that is a distinct possibility.
And then when you buy the $1,000 plan for Claude, you're doing that through the extra usage. That's the only place I see the 30% discount if you spend $1,000 or more. I don't see that on the back end of the. Okay, cool. Just
extra
make sure.
Usage. So you turn on. For those who don't know, good call out, Ope. For those who don't know, to get the discounted API usage, you got to turn on extra usage. So it still uses your subscription, but it just goes straight to extra usage, which means I know it's confusing as hell what I'm saying, but you got to go to your settings, turn on extra usage. Which if you look at any of the warning emails Anthropic sent out the last week, it has instructions exactly on that. You turn it on, and then there's an option in that menu that's like buy discounted packs of API tokens. And if you spend like $1,000, you get 30% off. If you spend like $500, you get like 20% off, something like that. So if you're hardcore into the API like I am, you can buy bundles for discount. Thanks, Ope, for the great question as always, my man. Hope you've been well. Let's go to, if I say people's names wrong, I apologize. Autocorrect on Mac is horrible. I'll type in like people's names normal, and then I typed in Ope and it made it like a completely different name, but I just knew it was Ope who I put in my thing before. So like please do not take offense if I say people's names wrong, is what I'm trying to say. Jorge, you're up. And someone tells me they're like, oh, here we go. Jorge.
Sorry, 1 second.
You're good.
No, someone else could go ahead. I'm sorry.
You at work, big dog?
Yeah, work from home.
All right, it's all right. I'll move your name down the list. We'll come back to you, all right? I'll just put you right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Abhishek.
Yeah, hey Alex. My question is around the same topic that we were discussing here. So obviously my OpenClaw also broke, last couple of days, and I was, wondering, should I switch to API or not? And you made a good point today. One of my fear is, since my setup is not really optimized yet, it still goes Wild West. How do I make sure I have a control on the API cost? I mean, I know I can go in the account and I can set like daily or monthly limit or whatever. Like, is there like a way to track the cost and stuff, so I can like make sure I'm not just going Wild West?
Track the API cost specifically with Claude Code.
Not really Cloud Code.
Or not
So,
Claude Code, I'm sorry. The Anthropic API.
yeah, setting the brain to Opus. I mean, I did have a follow-up after this, but yeah, this was the main question though.
You can instruct your OpenClaw to, in your mission control, build a cost monitoring dashboard. So it will tell you how much usage is going to each agent, each sub-agent, and make a rough estimate of cost. It's not always going to be accurate. The most accurate way to do it is just having like your Anthropic dashboard up that has like the costs on there. That'll be the most accurate. But you can get a general estimate by having your OpenClaw in your mission control building like a cost estimate dashboard.
Okay, that makes sense. And for coding part, I know you mentioned you're using GPT as a muscle. Why not use Cloud Code CLI? Is there anything I'm missing there?
I read that a couple of days ago. They axed that Anthropic. Like that's what Peter Steinberger was recommending when they banned it, was like, just have it use Claude Code CLI instead as like a muscle. And then like an hour later, Anthropic figured out that workaround and just like axed it. And like it can just tell when you're using OpenClaw to use the Claude Code CLI. So, I mean, you can still do that, but I think it's going to be inefficient and it won't be great if you're using it for everything. I think you can use a Claude Code CLI for like coding activities.
That was my point. That was my point.
Yeah, but when the whole thing's going to be tough.
Yeah, so I have like a couple of projects, coding project, where I would normally vibe code. Obviously, the bottleneck is me, right? I don't want to be sitting in front of the laptop just giving it instructions. Hey, this is wrong, that is wrong. I want to set up like a loop where the orchestrator, which is OpenClaw Brain, it controls Claude Code. When Claude Code says it's done, right? It maybe fires up a QA agent that maybe spins up a Playwright instance in the browser and checks if the output is correct. And it basically becomes a self, correcting loop while I'm sleeping.
Yes.
So that was my whole workflow that I wanted to implement, which I have not been able to quite do yet.
That's kind of what I was talking about earlier with like the Ralph loop, where I had one agent be like a manager and the other agent be the actual engineer. And then you give the manager and the engineer a goal, say, build out this big functionality or build out whatever. And then the engineer starts building it. And then the manager checks in every 10, 15 minutes just to make sure it's on track. So you can do that. I recommend doing that with the ChatGPT subscription if you have that, just because you're going to get way more usage. I mean, there's people just doing manual coding with Claude Code who's hitting their limits in like a week easily. So ChatGPT will probably be better for those types of like autonomous engineering tasks.
So are you using your Henry coding agent directly with ChatGPT Codex API, or are you having it drive Codex CLI for the coding work?
I have it. I think for some when it uses a sub agent, I think it uses the Codex CLI. And then I also have another OpenClaw agent that's powered by the ChatGPT one that sometimes I'll go to and say, code things for me. So if it's Henry using a muscle, it uses the Codex CLI. If I use my other Charlie, who is a engineering agent, OpenClaw agent, that's just powered by the ChatGPT subscription.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't think there's really much of a advantage or anything.
No, the pain point I normally see, sorry if I'm taking time, like the pain point I normally see when using either Claude Code CLI or Codex CLI from OpenClaw is piping the input. Hey, some escape character broke, something broke, right? So it's like you have to call a command line tool to like pass in a PRD or something successfully. So like the piping breaks. With API, it's easier, but then you are paying much more money.
Yeah, then you don't need to use the CLI. Just open up, have it use the ChatGPT subscription.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try that out. Thanks, man.
Of course, Abhishek. Thank you for the question. Let's go to Frank. I'm going to cut this off after. If I go through this entire list, I won't be able to cover any of my other subjects. So I apologize. There's just simply not enough time in the day to go through all questions, but we'll come back after. And after I go through the 3 things I want to cover, and then we'll do general QA and try to knock off as many questions as I can. I apologize. It's just the nature of things. When I originally started these boot camps, they were an hour each. Now I go to 2 hours each because of all the questions. But I think going 3 hours would result in me losing my voice for the rest of the week. I have very weak vocal cords from yelling a tremendous amount as a kid and having very intense ADD as a kid. So apologies. But Frank, good to see you, my man. Look at Frank. Look at that setup. It looks like you're in like a professional OpenAI podcast studio.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, no, I put a little bit of time into getting a space here. I just wanted to also say, man, thanks a lot for just keeping all the updates coming. I think this has been a pretty crazy time for all of us here. So really appreciate you just kind of being a light, with all of this nuts going on here and providing some guidance for us here on the changes with Claude and everything. I have one quick question, and then we can get on to your next topic, Sarah. I just was curious to know, what is your thinking setting for your Opus? Are you using like low thinking, max thinking, or no thinking at all? I'm just kind of curious about your setup.
When it comes to the open, when I'm like using it in OpenClaw.
Yeah, for your specifically for Opus, I'm just wondering if you have thinking on or not, just to try and help with API costs.
I think I have it on medium for OpenClaw, and then when I'm using Claude Code, I have it on high at all times.
Okay, cool. That's all I needed to know. Thanks.
Very simple and easy. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. Now, listen, I did have like 12 more people to go on that list. I'll go back to that list when we go to general Q&A. I just want to make sure we have time to cover kind of all the subjects I want to talk about. So G Baines, Hove, Bill G, Reese, Jorge, I guess I had Jorge twice on there. Tom A, Jason, Daryl, Naman, Patrick, Hud. I'll come back to you guys right after I go through these next few subjects. So bear with me here. Next, I want to go through the memory system. So custom memory system. This is a memory system that for me has dramatically improved the memory for OpenClaw. This memory system I tried my best. It just didn't work very well with Hermes. I just couldn't get it working very well with Hermes. Couldn't do it. But it is what it is. I'm going to be honest, a lot of challenges with Hermes agent. I go on X and I feel like every other post is, oh, Hermes is better than OpenClaw. Hermes is better than OpenClaw. I think these people are bullshitting. Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of people on social media who they don't share what they truly believe in. They just share like who they're betting on. Like they just like, oh, I like this, and they don't actually like it better. They just like want to see that company win. Like they just like don't like OpenClaw, so go, oh, Hermes is better, even though they don't truly believe that, or maybe even don't use Hermes at all, which is kind of unfortunate. And it's either because they're rooting for a company, or they have a financial investment, or they're getting paid by that company. I've been using Hermes hardcore the last couple of weeks. It has significantly more issues than I've ever had with OpenClaw. It is what it is. It's a cool tool, but there's a lot of issues with it. So either that's besides the point. Main point being is I have a new memory system inside Obsidian. I put together a post in the community a few days ago that gives you the exact prompt. So if you go to the post, make sure I'm not sharing anything crazy here. Okay. Looking good. If you look at the post I put out, if you just search memory system and find my post from a few days ago, we'll have the prompt so you can set this up for yourself. But basically, I'm using Obsidian as a memory system for my agents. And what it does is a few things. It has daily logs so that it logs every single thing we talk about during the day from a high level, just a summary, not every single thing we talk about, but a summary of the important things. It has a mistake section, which goes over anytime I say, no, you screwed that up, you messed up, you suck, you did this wrong. It logs that in the mistake so it knows what it did wrong. And then it has working context, so just important things to keep into context. And this added layer of Obsidian has improved the memory for OpenClaw a good amount for me. For those who don't know what Obsidian is just a graphic interface for Markdown files. Markdown files are really the language of AI agents. All Markdown files are just text files with formatting in it that says, oh, this should be bold, this should be a header. It's very readable for agents because it's very, very simple. And so Obsidian is just a good way to organize and view Markdown files, and agents can use it well. So if you set up this memory system in Obsidian and you instruct your agent, OpenClaw, Hermes, whatever, to be constantly looking at it to get the right context, you should improve its memory. You just need to make sure that when you set the system up in Obsidian, it gets recorded inside the agent.md file of your agent to be using this memory system. Because if it doesn't record it in its rule files, it's not going to remember to look at this new memory system in Obsidian. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with Obsidian and agents. I think this is another kind of wide open space where if you figure out cool systems to do with Obsidian, you can do really interesting things. One of those really interesting things is like a personal knowledge wiki. And so that's something I'm working on now. Let me get it working. That local host is down. I have what I'm building out as a personal knowledge wiki, which is like I have my own Hermes agent called the Librarian, which I can just drop in thoughts, ideas, links to blog posts, YouTube videos. I just drop it in the chat and it takes it and organizes it in like my own wiki that I can then see in like a user interface, which I'll pull up in a second. It's kind of an experiment. I don't know what's going to be the best way to use it. I just think it's interesting to have kind of like your own personal database of ideas and links and videos and books and thoughts and journals and blog posts. I'm experimenting to see what's the right workflow to do with it. When I figure that out, you guys will be the first to know. Here we go. So let me share my screen.
It was shared. You were sharing them.
I was sharing the wrong window. Now we're sharing the right.
Giving you a heads up.
You're good. You're good. I appreciate the lookout. I appreciate that. So here's my wiki, right? I just drop things in. So for instance, I dropped in Andre Karpathy's description of his wiki. And what it does is it takes out who is mentioned in it, what the concept is, and what the source is. And then I can go back. That one's broken. Let me go back here. And I can go back and I can deep dive into each one and see what it was about. And like, it's just basically a knowledge store for me that I can go and explore and see what sources I put in it and see who I've written about and see what concepts I've thought about. And it's just a good place where like, I don't know what the best use is of the moment. Should I be going in every morning and just reading it? If I try to recall something, do I just go in and search it? What is the best use of it? I don't know, but I feel like having this database of all my knowledge will be good to just have. And then when the use case hits me, I'll just be able to plug this in. Whether it's having more agents in the future and being able just to plug it into this and see everything, I don't know, but I think it's good to start building and maintaining. And so that's why I start building it. So this is based on Obsidian as well. This is just a user interface off of Obsidian that my agent built. And so my recommendation to you guys is build out the memory system, prompt in the message I put up a few days ago, and think about other ways you can build your own knowledge stores, your own personal knowledge wikis, and try to figure out interesting use cases for that. Is it just plugging it into your agent and having even more additional context? Is it having an agent dedicated? Like I have a dedicated The Librarian agent that I can go and just say, hey, when I talk to you about this, what link did I use? And it just is able to get that for me quickly. Think about use cases for this because I think there's something here. I'm just trying to figure out the best implementation for it. Anyone, screw it. Let's just go to general Q&A. Listen, I'll go back to the questions. I'll go back to the question list. We'll go through that, and then I'll ask for general questions after. So I hope those 3 subjects I covered were helpful. I hope by listening to other people's questions and the answers, that's helpful as well, and you're able to learn from the other questions people have too. That's why so much of this is Q&A as well. I hope it's helpful for everyone. How many people we got? Oh, wow. We got a, last time we didn't do it on a Friday, we had significantly less people in, but we got 106 people in here on a Tuesday. That's great. Props to everyone. I'm also happy if you want to ask questions. I also want to use this community as a way to share my journey through entrepreneurship. I raised pre-seed funding technically a month ago. I just didn't tell anyone about it till yesterday. Now I'm working with investors, building out a product. So if you guys have questions too on that journey, thought process behind that, what the plans are, I want to share my journey along with that as well. If you have questions around content, YouTube, X, I went into like the OpenClaw Discord a couple of days ago. I went in the voice chat. I got 1,000 questions on like setting up a YouTube channel. So if you guys have questions on that as well, I'm happy because I truly, truly believe that like everyone should be creating content in some sort of way. There's no downside to doing that. There's only upside. There's only upside to creating a platform, building an audience, even if it's a small one. There's only upside because it will set up whatever you want to do, whatever goals and ambitions you have will only be helped by having a platform. I was able to meet Alex Wisner-Gross, the investor behind Henry, off this. I was able to go on moonshots. I was able to build this community off of it, right? You can do anything you want if you have a platform. So I highly, highly, highly recommend everyone, whether it's 10 minutes a day, pursuing some sort of growth on social media, whether it's tweeting, that's the easiest. That's where I started in 2021. I just started with tweeting 5 minutes a day in between meetings at my job. That's where this entire journey stemmed from, was like literally in between meetings, just tweeting out a couple thoughts a day. And that spawned into this. One thing led to another. So if you have questions on that as well, but let me go through the list and I'll ask for general Q&A after that. G Baines.
What's up, Alex? How you doing?
How you doing, man?
On that note of like content creation, I actually started a Threads, a newsletter, and an X based off of, the last boot camp that we had. So I think, what was his name? The other tinkerer, he was also trying to do it as well. I forget his name. But
you started a Threads, an X, and a newsletter?
Yeah. Yes.
How's that going?
Surprisingly, Threads is doing amazing.
Really?
Out of all 3.
Should I be on Threads? Should I be threading?
I think from what I see, whenever I like tag OpenClaw, there's not that many people, but that might be an advantage, I think, because like people are more intentful in replying, possibly. If you follow me, I'll follow you back.
Hell yeah, follow for follow, baby. Is there like an actual community? I've never met someone who
what I've heard of X or Threads rather is like Threads is like the nicer version of X. There's not so many mean people on X or on Threads.
There's a lot of mean people on X.
I know. So that's kind of how I got into Threads. I already had one. I just kind of converted it to
mean billionaires, apparently.
Yeah, right. So that's
Say an initiative. 1 second. I just got. It looks like there's going to be a big Anthropic announcement today. You can see. Okay. Just look out
nice.
for that potential big Anthropic announcement later today.
Sure,
Sorry. Continue.
I'm sure you'll post it on X, and that's how I'll find out whenever it goes down.
There we go.
You know.
I got a real quick question, Alex.
Well, let me get
Okay.
to G Baines and we'll go through the question. G Baines is up.
Yeah. Okay. So getting to my question. I have been working with other people in this community on this, but have you ever experienced like a kind of pipeline issue, kind of a routing issue for, going through the Ralph loops? Meaning, what happens to me if I push a coding job to my coder, which is ChatGPT 5.4, and I say, hey, Ralph, like check this, or even like said, like, hey, every time there's a coding job, Ralph, check this, be the QA. It like almost never goes through. Like, I don't know what prompt to tell it. I mean, I even like reverse prompt it, and it just like never happens, like.
To make sure I understand, you are trying to set up a Ralph loop basically, and you give OpenClaw the instructions to like what you want to build to the kind of Ralph loop watcher and then the engineer, and it just doesn't do the thing.
It only works. I mean, yes, to answer your question, yes, but it only works if my orchestrator, which is Opus 4.6, watches the coder versus the Ralph, which again is 5.4. I have tried it with Sonnet to like, the new API costs and all, but it still kind of breaks. And I'm like,
is your Ralph, is it a separate OpenClaw agent or is it a sub agent?
Yes. So sub agent.
I would try setting up a second OpenClaw.
Okay.
And I think they call it profile, like a second OpenClaw profile, which basically just means it's going to be a completely new OpenClaw. And then having that, first of all, making sure they're familiar with each other. Hey, I just set up a second OpenClaw profile. Its name is Ralph. We're going to make, write into your rules that Ralph's going to be used for this. And then giving the commands that way, where I think the second OpenClaw is going to be much more reliable of a Ralph loop owner than a sub agent. I think the separate, that's what I've been doing, is the separate complete agent.
Gotcha. Okay. I do have 3 machines running right now. I'll definitely outsource that.
You don't even necessarily need them on separate machines. It's totally up to you. I have it on separate machines. Just there's no real. I feel like it. I think that's cool. I have multiple machines. I just want to be doing things on each. But you don't need to. But you could be.
Yeah, I'll probably try it that way, just for the same reasons you mentioned. There was a follow-up question to that. Is the Ralph agent, is it okay if it's Sonnet or GPT 5.4? Which one do you recommend?
I've been using ChatGPT as the Ralph, and it's been fine.
Okay. Okay, cool. That was my question. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, G. Baines, for the question. Let's go to Hove.
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. How you doing?
Hey, good. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate all your insights. I have 2 quick questions, Alex. I know you recommended to fixing any error with the cloud code or the codex, right? With this ban, the subscription ban, I think we are still able to use it, right? To fix any issue with the subscription.
What do you mean fix an issue?
Let's say if there's an error or anything you want to just optimize and clarify, because on your masterclass, you are mentioning to fix any issue by using cloud code or codex, right? One of the sessions of the masterclass mentioning that. Like, let's say if something is going wrong, something doesn't work, you go to the folder and then you put basically cloud code inside the folder, and it just figures out what's going on wrong, and it just fixes it.
Yeah, so you can use, I've been using, if I understand your question correctly, I've been using Claude Code to fix any issues with OpenClaw or Hermes.
Right.
I open it up in Claude Code. And so, yeah, you can use your Claude Code subscription for that for sure.
Okay, yeah, that was my first question. And the follow-up, so let's say you are doing the simple tasks, right? And you want to just go back and forth with the local models versus the Opus 4.6. I have the DGX Spark, so I'm basically doing Opus 4.6 and then coding ChatGPT and then everything else Nemotron. I know you said Gemma, but I think Gemma was failing me a few times. I don't know why. But my question is, let's say I'm doing just very little simple things to build, check something, even research. Can I just quickly switch to local models to do those things and then switch back to Opus? And will it mess the communication? Because a couple of times I think kind of Opus got disconnected from the stuff. But just from your perspective, does it work?
Yeah, here's what I'm experimenting with more that I think might be the best way to do this. Have a OpenClaw or Hermes agent. I'm doing more Hermes agents just because it's very easy to spin up new Hermes agents very quickly. I get it's built-in functionality to do it. But I put an agent on every model. And so if I have something I know I want a local model to do, I'll just go straight to that agent that's powered by that local model and give it to them directly. And then so there's going to be some workflows where you'll go to your main OpenClaw, your Opus 4.6 and say, hey, do this, give some of these tasks to the local agents, some of these tasks to the others, and they'll be able to communicate with the agents directly through what's called ACP. I have no idea what ACP stands for. My guess would be Agent Communication Protocol would be my guess, but basically it's a way for all the agents to talk to each other in the background. So they would be able to distribute tasks that way, or you can just go directly to the agent on Telegram if you set up an agent on that model.
Okay, just set up different agent. Because what I find out, even if you ask your Opus to switch the task, let's say coding, give it to ChatGPT, but Opus still charge for tokens, right? With the communication, with the back and forth conversation, it still uses tokens, correct?
If you say one more time?
If it delegates the task, let's say it's a coding task, right? You just go to Telegram, tell Opus to do some coding activities or research activities, right? Now, it just communicates to your research sub-agent. And then let's say it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They talk back and forth, in the background. It still charges tokens, right? Because that process, it's still some sort of token charging,
so it's still going to cost some tokens because it's distributing the tasks, but it's not going to be nearly as many tokens as doing the task itself.
Okay, great. Appreciate that, Alex. Thank you very much. And the last thing, do you put the recordings of those boot camps in the platform? Because all I see is just 5 or 6 there.
Okay, let me show everyone how to do this because this is a question I get a lot. So the recording system on School stinks. I go to download the boot camp and it takes 5 minutes to prepare the recording, and then they send the recording to your notifications 5 minutes later, which is just drowned in bullshit, the notifications. It's just a very complex, annoying way to download videos. So the most reliable way to see recordings is to go to community, kind of the default page here, go to call recordings, and you should see every recorded call here. The ones from me, right? Bootcamp 8, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6. So this is the most guaranteed way to, everyone is here. If you go to call recordings, I'm trying my best to get them in the classroom because this is obviously the most organized way. It's just incredibly annoying and difficult to get the downloads from school. It just is. So, yeah, if you want the guaranteed way to get every recording, go to the community and click call recordings and you'll see it there.
Okay, great. I didn't know that. That's a great tip. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Hope that's helpful. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. I found, if you're interested, I found the blog post that talks about Claude Mythos from Anthropic. I don't think they've tweeted it out yet. So if you want to take a look at it before it's been officially announced, I'll drop it in here. There you go. Boom. It's called Project Glasswing. I just dropped it in the chat. If you're interested in checking that out, I don't think they've tweeted it out yet. They'll probably tweet it out in the next few minutes.
Alex, could I ask you super quick, because I have to get out of the call because I'm working, but I do want to ask you a question. How can I get that question to you? Because I know when I get out of this call, I'm not. You're not going to have this call up anymore.
If it's a super quick one, you can just say it.
So basically, I bought the Mac Mini for it specifically, right? And I built it like 3 times and I had to delete it. But basically, what I'm trying to figure out is, because I don't have 12 hours or 8 hours or 4 hours to be in front of it. And every single time I try to work remotely, like it's like it needs me to be in front of the computer to run commands, to make sure that it's doing everything. Like there's no automation to it.
What are you trying to automate?
So I was trying, for example, I was trying to automate like some update numbers that I have to do every morning. And I gave him like the website, I gave him the screenshots, right, and everything. I trained him how to do it. And then on the morning, he did it. But then after that, like, it's just, he needs me to be in front of the computer for me to be able to like log in.
It means the cron job's not getting scheduled.
Okay.
So it's not doing the task you said do every morning?
Yeah, I put like, I train it and I show him what to do every morning, and then he did it the first morning. But then after that, I have to physically be there, and I told him like to set up the cron job every day, but it's like constantly I have to go in and log in and send everything myself, which is weird. But I know I'm very, very, very super new to this, so I know you guys are speaking very complex stuff, but mine is super simple. I just don't even know how to set that up. And I wanted to get that over to you.
No, I'm going to be honest. I don't understand your use case, right? I don't understand exactly what the OpenClaw is doing, but I would ensure first that the cron job is getting scheduled. So talk to your OpenClaw and say, hey, is the cron job scheduled to do this every morning? And then if it is, say, why can't you do this for me? Why do you need me at the computer? And see what its explanation is.
Okay.
Because I don't understand your use case, to be quite honest, and so it's hard for me.
I wish I could explain a little bit better, but like I don't have too much experience in all of this, so like I'm just like I'm doing what.
Feel free to post it in the community.
Okay.
Right. And I can take a look at it, like screenshots, like exactly what you're trying to accomplish in there.
Okay.
And verify. There's a tab of cron jobs on the left side of the user interface on OpenClaw. Verify that the cron job is actually in there.
In the gateway?
Or you can just ask it like what cron jobs you have to make sure it's even in there.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Yeah, you just need to make sure the cron job's being scheduled first. That's the most important part of it. And then you can ensure, once you know the cron job's happening, then you know it's like a use case issue where it can't do whatever you're asking it to do for some reason. All right. Let's do this. Okay, they just tweeted that link I sent out. Interesting. All right. Let me go back to the question. Sorry if I sounded distracted the last 10 minutes. It's a pretty big announcement, the Mythos announcement, but it seems like the problem. It seems like not everyone's going to have access to it, which is kind of annoying. All right, Bill G.
Hey, Alex.
was following along. I guess my initial question was along the lines of the models. I've kind of followed your lead in adding the Mac Studios, and then I have my new DGX that just came in today that I haven't plugged up yet. But
you excited?
Yeah, I am. I'm not even fully using all the stuff that I have bought so far, but I'm getting there. And so, kind of along those lines, obviously the Frontier models are going to be our sharpest. Yesterday on the stream, you talked about using the Gemma 4 as well as Quen, and I saw today in your graphic that you didn't have Gemma 4 as far as that's concerned on the coding piece of it. If you have good hardware, like how are you recommending those of us that have spent the money to bring in these local models? Because obviously you're right in the direction of this, but how do we best take advantage of this compute?
Yeah, so there's a few ways to do it. I think from a coding perspective, I think I've gotten the best results out of Quen. The Quen's a bigger model than the other two. It's just a little bit slower. Gemma and Nemo, I compare Quen, Gemma, and Nemotron. They're all pretty comparable. You're not going to get very much different performance out of each, but Quen has bigger models available. So if you want more thinking, you can go with Quen. So for coding, I like to do more thinking because it's a more complex task. So it depends what you're trying to do. If you want coding, I recommend Quen. For other things, Gemma and Nemotron are very good because they're quicker, more efficient because it's less thinking. And so, like, for instance, I have them scraping the web all day and night. Every 20 minutes, Gemma scrapes the web for me, looking for different tools I can plug into Henry Intelligent Machines. And so, depending on the task, you will want to use each model for different things. So coding, if you want local coding done, I think Quen's the best way at the moment. If you want quicker tasks, research, writing, things like that, Gemma and Nemotron are very good options for that.
Okay. All right. Great.
What's your hardware again? Is it just the DGX? What did you say you also had? You said Mac DGX Spark?
So I've got a couple like old Mac Minis that are going kind of towards retirement at this point. I have a new Mac Mini that I started with when all this started. I eventually bit the bullet and got the two Mac Studios. So I'm probably getting in there around what you've got from a hardware capability standpoint. So I'm building it out. I have two different companies. And so one's one that I've owned for a while, and then another is an idea that I had that wasn't really possible until we've gotten to this point. So I took your advice on the moonshot idea, and so I'm building that out now.
Yeah, so you have plenty of hardware, man. You're gonna be able to do what I'm doing, which is have multiple models up. So you can have Gemma, Quen, and Nemotron up running separately, and then having each, you could even put a Hermes agent on each and then have them set a cron to do something every 10, 20 minutes online for you, right? So you'll be able to experiment and do cool things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got obviously a retail store that's good. I got to balance inventory amongst the different stores, reorder, do all those things. And so I've in the process of getting the Hermes agent set up there, and then also setting it up on the other newer company. But I heard what you had to say, that you're having some challenges there.
Yeah. I'm just having some. Has anyone here used Hermes a ton? I'm just curious. Anyone here use Hermes a ton? No? Everywhere I read on X, people are saying they love Hermes. I can't stop having issues with it. So I'd recommend experiment. And I didn't even do anything crazy. I set a blank, no memories, nothing, connected it to Opus and had it start doing work for me. And it just kept messing up. So I'm not even doing anything crazy or insane with it. But I'd give it a shot. See what fits better into your workflow more. And, maybe you'll have better experiences. But I like the advantage for Hermes for me is you can just quickly say, make another Hermes agent on this model and be, okay, done, here it is. Go connect to your Telegram. You're good to go. It's very quick with that. So I set that up on my local models. Just the kind of the task workers that don't need perfect memory. My Henry is my most important one. That like the memory is great, never messes up. That's like it's distributing, orchestrating everything for me. The others are like I'll quickly go, hey, can you try this? Can you do this for me?
So one thing that I did find, and I don't know if this applies to anybody else, but if you have multiple companies with separate kind of infrastructures, so like I've got one that's Gabby and she runs one company, and then I have a Ben that runs the other one. The Obsidian has to be, well, I structured it anyways, on separate Apple accounts. And so it can't access that shared memory. So you have to come up with like a system, almost like a Git, basically.
Do you have, are you using separate Apple accounts, like separate Apple IDs?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll probably, GitHub will probably be the best way to do it then. So you can connect them all. I didn't do separate Apple accounts. I just was like, that's just gonna be a pain in the ass. I don't care.
It's a huge pain in the ass. But it also, for me, I felt like it was more of a security thing, and then I could manage them almost as if they are actual employees.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the smarter way to do it. I'm doing a balance of shortcuts just to make things easier for me. And one of those shortcuts is I don't have separate accounts. One of those shortcuts is I have Henry running on my main machine, right? So I also value efficiency and speed to a point where I'm willing to like shortcut some of the things that make it a perfect employee organization with everyone with their all separate stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Build is much more efficient because it's all within it, and then they can all access it on their own. They just have to be all in the same Apple account, which I was concerned about.
Yeah, exactly. So have you come up with good workflows with having them on separate Apple accounts, or like you have them all iMessage and stuff? Like has it been worth the loss in efficiency to have them on separate accounts?
I guess the quick answer is I don't know because I haven't tried the singular Apple account. Essentially, I've got iMessage set up, but that's more kind of direct stuff. I then went and put out everything into Discord and have different channels built with categories specific to that. And then I did integrate Telegram, which I like in a lot of ways because Discord, and I agree with your analysis on GPT. I spent 2 weeks probably nonstop fixing the architecture using GPT. And then in an afternoon, I dropped everything into Claude because I got so pissed at GPT. And Claude fixed it in an afternoon. So any of you guys that have these architecture problems, I do what Alex is telling you. Take it and put it into Claude, and it will figure it out in a much more organizational sense than GPT will. And it'll save you a lot of time and money.
The people who are tweeting Codex is better than Claude, they're either not using Claude Code or Codex, or they're getting paid by these companies, because it's just like you use both and it's just so painfully obvious which one is better. One just gets things done, the other just doesn't get things done. It's just like as plain and simple as I don't know if people are having other experiences with Claude Code and Codex. And yes, I do think Claude Code's gotten stupider over the last couple of weeks, but at the end of the day, it just gets things done, and Codex just does not get things done for me. And so I don't know. It just is what it is, I guess.
Can I ask a question about that, Bill?
Yeah, what's up, Andrew?
My question is, how do you keep it from drifting within Claude Code? Because the issue that I've been having when I've been trying to use Claude Code to fix things, it'll put it all over my computer. I keep telling it, stay within the OpenClaw folder, structure, substructures, but I end up getting things placed elsewhere. And so it, quote unquote, operates okay, but I continue to drift outside of this OpenClaw repo, and I feel like it's eventually going to cause me issues.
Are you opening Claude Code in the repo? As in, when you open up your terminal, I assume you're using the CLI, are you CDing into the OpenClaw folder and then typing Claude?
currently know. Is that the secret to making sure this works?
Yes. So you don't want to treat Claude Code like OpenClaw. Claude Code's not going to be a general agent you just open on your computer and tell it to do things. Claude Code's going to be for very specific targeted coding tasks. And so what you want to do is you want to open it only in the workspace you want to operate in. And so I've been using the Claude desktop app more lately. It's actually really good. I think it's basically caught up to the CLI. So you can do this in either the Claude desktop app or the CLI. Totally up to you. They both work. But if you're using the CLI, you just want to CD into that specific OpenClaw folder, which I don't know how familiar you are with using a terminal, but CD means it goes into the folder. So you go CD into it, and then you type Claude, which opens Claude Code just in that folder. On Claude desktop, it's a little bit more visual. So you literally click select folder, then you choose the OpenClaw folder. That might be a little bit more difficult because I think by default, Claude is OpenClaw is a hidden folder. So it might not show up in the directory selector. So it might be easier to do it in the CLI.
Thank you.
Bill, anything you wanted to wrap up on the point you were making? Or did we cover everything?
I just had that quick question for Bill.
Let me, you have a quick question for Bill? Go ahead, Constantine.
Yeah, I'm literally down the same road as you. I mean, I've been building from scratch from day one. Before, I honestly, I stumbled across Alex. He kind of inspired me. I went off on the rant for like 30 days, probably like 10 grand later in API cost. I literally built everything from scratch. I built my own neural system, cognitive system. I literally mapped my agent versus the human body, it's ridiculous. And now all these tools are coming out, and some of them are good, some of them made it easy, some of them are not. But the question that I'm asking, I also want kind of trigger happy. I ordered a couple of Sparks that are coming in. I'm about to get a Mac Studio, and but I had no idea about the whole auth thing. I was literally just using API on Claude for everything, and then I used Open Router to use to get access to the Gemini, the DeepSeeks, and all the other models pretty much, all the new Groks, and the O3 Pro, etc. Because as I was building, I was using a council of every single major model to pen test my ideas and designs to really make sure I don't miss anything. But long story short, now I just figured out that you guys are talking about that I can get the ChatGPT Pro subscription and not even have to pay the API costs like I've been doing to do all the building. And now I'm kind of getting buyer's remorse, thinking, why the hell did I spend all this money on these Sparks, and why am I about to buy a Studio if I could use ChatGPT Pro subscription? I'll get two of them if I have to. A Spark is $5 grand after taxes. A Studio is another 10K a pop. I could probably, and I'm spending literally $300 to $500 a day right now for the last month and a half religiously. I finally cracked the code on how to. I built some plugins that are prompt catch before the LLM, because every time a new session would start, Opus would hijack the brain of my system and just freaking run away with it. And every single rule and suggestion that I built, every single rule was being treated as a suggestion. So I had to literally build mechanicals to make sure it listens to it and get ahead of it. And then my nodes would freaking crash because it would just grow I don't know, 20 megabytes a second until the system could handle it.
What I found is like what Alex has said is Opus is your best brain, right?
For sure.
And you're gonna have to take these problems and drop them into Opus and get Claude to figure it out for you. And so I went through, I'm not lying, I went through GPT 5.4, I went through Gemini trying to fix OpenClaw, and I mean hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of fixing the architecture of it. And it helped. I went through probably 7 different stages with multiple phases, all kinds of things to try and fix the architecture of it. And it helped, but ultimately take it in there, drop it into the Opus and see what happens. Opus seems to be better at understanding organizational structures. Now I've definitely had the situations where I've asked it to do things and it hasn't completed them. But that came down to the way that I had written my soul file and a few other things. And one of the first bugs that I found was I gave it permission to argue with me.
Yeah.
To have an
like a partner rather than a worker in the beginning.
Exactly. And that was a mistake that GPT actually found pretty early on, and that helped. But I think that you got to ask these questions in the community, right? Ask these questions, throw them out there, and it's real easy to miss that OAuth thing. And ask these questions, bring them up in the community, let the community answer them, and then I think, like somebody said that had just sold their app for $250,000 on the last weekly call. This community is at the forefront, and Alex is really doing something extremely special by sharing his time with everyone, because the opportunity cost of that time is tremendous. And so take advantage of the opportunity to ask the questions in the chat. Everyone here is at the leading edge of this. I literally asked somebody that's been in databases for 15 years what they thought about GPT versus Opus this past weekend, and they're like, I don't know, I had never really played with it. And I just was mind blown by the whole thing.
But as far as like the hardware goes, like I said, like I just dropped, I got the GGX coming. I got another one.
I think he's right. You're going to end up with local models, and your cost is going to go astronomical. You can't even get a 312 gigabyte studio anymore. And I bought 2 more little Mac Minis over the weekend just because I'm not going to get them until September.
But is it more cost effective than just because they're going to be obsolete? Like literally, the curve on these new processors.
They'll probably upgrade you if they can. The issue is that during this war in Iran, they've knocked out 30% of the helium supply that's used to make these chips. It's not going to happen.
Well, let me add in a few things there. So one thing is you're not buying hardware for cost savings. If the mindset is, how do I save the most money? I'm just going to buy Mac Studios and DGX Sparks. That's not the right way to think about it.
I'm just thinking value. That's,
For sure. But here's what you get. Here's the benefits of going local is you unlock new use cases, right? The fact that I can have a local model, Gemma, which I've been upfront about this since day one. Local models are not as good as frontier models, period. They are always at all times 6 months behind. Whatever the best model was 6 months ago, that's where local models are, right? 6 months ago was Sonnet 4.5. Local models are basically at Sonnet 4.5 at the moment. So that's number one. Number two is the unlock of use cases. I right now have Gemma and Quen at all times of the day, every 20 minutes, going and looking for a few things for me. Looking for tools for Henry Intelligent Machines, the app I'm building. Looking for new use cases for OpenClaw so I can try new things and experiment. It's doing web scraping every 20 minutes for me. This is not possible with cloud models unless you spend tens of thousands of dollars a day, right? It's also allowing me to hand off simple coding tasks and simple searching tasks, very simple tasks that don't require thinking. I can hand off and get that done very quickly. Then there's the non-functionality benefits to local models. Learning about AI. AI is the most consequential technology of our lifetimes. Booting up, understanding how local models works has helped educate me a ton just on artificial intelligence technology. It's great to play around with, tinker with. I have auto research going. It's fine-tuning the models. I built a LoRa, which is basically a plugin for your local model that's trained on my voice. So I have a local model that sounds exactly like me that I can experiment with and play around with and tinker with. There's just and I use it to write newsletters and things like that. So there's just a lot of tinkering and playing around with that you can do when you have local models. There's also just the fact that you're going to have much powerful hardware now, so you can do much more interesting, powerful things on your computers because you have really good computers. That's another benefit. The benefit to local models is not to save money. If your mindset is, how can I save the most money? I would not recommend going out and buying Mac Studios. If your goal is, how can I build complex systems that unlock new use cases, that allow me to learn more about this tech, that allow me to become a power user and get the most out of AI, then local models are a good way to go. I've always said since day one that the hybrid approach is the way to go. The hybrid approach of using cloud models for some things, local models for everything, is going to give you the best results possible.
Yeah.
So there's that. Also, just from a kind of scaling perspective, I don't think you made a mistake, Constantine, by going out and buying multiple Mac Studios and DGX Sparks. I don't think, if you learn how to get the most out of it, you're not going to regret it. But I will say this, for people who are not experts with local models, who don't have a full picture in their head of exactly what they want to do with local models, my recommendation would be start dead simple. Buy a good Mac Mini or buy a DJX Spark. You don't need to go out and buy do what I did, buy multiple Mac Studios and a Spark and this and that. You don't need to do that. Start simple. If you got money to burn, buy a DJX Spark, right? It's $4,800, I think now. You have one device, you load one local model on it, you figure out one workflow with it, you figure out how it plugs into your larger system, your larger AI agent system. Once you've maxed out that hardware, you can then buy a Mac Studio. You can buy another DGX Spark, whatever it is. Once you've figured out what that next workflow is, then you can scale up from there. You don't need to go all in all at once. Although if you do go all in all at once and you truly dedicate yourself to learning those tools and figuring out how to optimize that hardware, you won't regret it. But I think for most people, it's smartest to start small and then scale up. And is a risk with starting small and scaling up? Yes. The price of the DGX Spark's gone from $4,000 to $4,800 over the last month. Mac Studios went from you can buy 512 gigabyte Mac Studios to you can't buy 512 gigabyte Mac Studios over the last couple months. So there are risks involved. I just think that it's still the smarter move to go if you're newer to all this, to just start small, figure out the one workflow, and then scale up. Constantine, I do not think you'll regret your purchases if you, one, kind of understand the purposes of all these things, and then two, scale smartly into them. I think you'll have a lot of fun. You're allowed to have fun with all this. It's not all about cost optimization.
I mean, 2 months ago, as far as my AI use, I would use ChatGPT once in a blue to polish an email. Once I kind of went down the rabbit hole, like I said, like it's your fault because you inspired me. But I literally
for getting you into the most powerful, greatest wealth generating technology of all time. I'm not going to apologize for that. But I will help guide you to getting the most out of what you've invested in, which you've invested a lot, which is great. I'm going to help you get the most out of it.
Alex, are we still on the list?
Yeah, go ahead.
We are. We kind of just went on a tangent, which I thought was an important conversation to have. Anders, I'm going to be honest, I missed your emoji when you threw up the emoji, so you were not on the list. But I will add you to the list, Anders. I'm also going to be honest with you, Anders. We have 19 minutes left, and I have
thank you, Alex and Bill.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 names to go. So it might be tough. Here's my ask. One question a person of the people I go through. If we don't get to every person, you'll be top of the list for next week's. After I'm done traveling to Boston this week for the MIT presentation, I do not have any travel planned until June. So it will be every Friday, bing, 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 not moving around or anything. So it'll be very reliable. This is just I just have this little sprint of travel these last few weeks. So yeah. So Anders, I added you to the list. Next, we had, I think Reese. I think I was auto-corrected. I think it's Reese. Do we have a Reese in here? Oh yeah, Reese.
Yeah. Hello. What's going on?
Hey Reese. How you doing, man?
Good. I've got one question, and I've got a small yes or no question as well. First one is there a way you can make a document that shows? So I see that chart that you put up all the time where you have like your average and good hardware. Is there something that you could give us that would give us a baseline on where to shoot for? What we're minimum wise trying to get to use certain things? And the second question is,
what would be your objective with that? So is your objective how to cost optimize now that Claude is banned?
Yes.
Or is your objective
Yes.
to figure out what is the best local models per hardware?
A little bit of both. I mean, I guess you could branch it off and do another kind of sheet that says, you know, if you're looking for cost effectiveness, this is what you're wanting to get into for local. I see your chart and I want to go, yeah, I got all the great stuff. I need to use this, but realistically, I probably don't. So it just makes more sense to be realistic to see what you think would be the best idea to use and how to go about it at that point.
Okay, I can make a super detailed version of that chart and put it in the community. There's a bunch of, I want to make a bunch of cool artifacts for you guys. I want to open source mission control, which I know I've been promising for a few weeks now, just very complicated. I want to make, and I'll make a bunch of architecture docs. I appreciate that recommendation because I want to make more things like that that are just stored in the community that anyone can access, Reese. So I can build that out.
Okay, one small thing. You talked about a daily cleanup for context. Is there a disadvantage to doing that? Is there a reason why you wouldn't set a cron job to do that automatically, like once every 24 hours or something, just to clear that instantly?
You could. I don't think there's any downside. I mean, the downside is that if you just want to make sure what's being cleared is appropriate to be cleared, right? Like if it takes out sessions that maybe you do want in context, it could hurt the memory. So I just lean towards not doing it daily, just waiting like a few weeks to a month and then being like, okay, let's review what do we have in context now. Let's make sure we get rid of the right things. I'm kind of hesitant to make it a regularly scheduled cron job just because Opus has messed up for me where I don't want it to mess up this, you know?
I saw a really good idea where somebody had stated that they put their bot into like a dream mode to where it actually takes all the context and it essentially puts everything in that you would chronologically go back to over again, a kind of a vital memory. And then it kind of learns based off of that to where you could essentially clear your context a lot more often and have it draw back to that information. Is that something that you would suggest doing at that point?
So they just released official support for this, I think like 2 days ago, Dream Mode, which I think does exactly that. I'm going to be honest, I do not update my OpenClaw when new updates come out. I wait about a week. It's just too important of a system for me to just download the latest updates in case there's issues or something breaks. So I wait a week just for people to test it for me first before I install it. So I haven't tested the Dream Mode yet. I'll probably install it next week after like we've just made sure there's no security issues or anything like that. It's just too critical of a system for me just to be downloading the things the moment they're done. So I would try the official Dream Mode they just released, which I think does exactly what you mentioned. I would just wait a couple of days and install it.
Okay. Thank you.
I chugged a entire juice right before this meeting, and so I have to give me 45 seconds. I'm just going to use the bathroom real quick. TMI, I know, but 45 seconds.
Is anybody else setting up a stage watcher and task queue? I've been having a super hard time. Same issues that others were running into where Anthropic will just do all the work. I have multiple agents, so I ended up coding something to where a task goes in. Once a task goes in, it goes through a workflow, all based on Python code. But the problem is the task will get done, and then it doesn't go back to my COO. It does notify him, but he doesn't overview it before it comes back to me. Has anyone dealt with that?
Yes, you have to start prompt catching right at the boot. So you need like a mechanical rule. Like I created my own plugin. So the minute you start a new session, the language model that you're plugged into is going to immediately take control of whatever your system is doing. And whatever rules you wrote in is going to just be taken to the suggestions versus actual rules. So what you need to do is you need to create like I created a delegator aside from orchestrator, and its literal job is to jump in front of the LLM and tell it to listen to the rule of using. I've made like a tier-based, Sonnet for this, Opus for this, maybe VMAX for something simpler, local for basic jobs. But the minute you start doing it as soon as you boot and you have that mechanical rule, your context is not going to burn, especially if your sole MD is like fucking 50 megabytes at this point and you're running 100,000 tokens before you say hello. You're gonna die. Your bank account will, at least.
Yeah, I think I set that up. Anyways, thank you. I'll look into that more.
Excellent. Let's go to Tom A. Is Tom A here? Tom A. Don't see a Tom A in the list. Tom had a jet, I'd assume. Let's go Jason T. Is Jason T here? Jason T, not on the list. He had a jet. Good. Daryl N.
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing, boss?
Good. I'm actually happy I made it because it was like, oh, it's almost going to be like 2 hours and there's a lot of people. So real quick, I just want to say thank you very much for everything you've done for this community and for the world. Like, it's just amazing being on this call with everybody. So I'm very excited. And I
It's
also
pretty
send
cool.
you a
Real
DM.
quick, just to reflect for a moment, Daryl. 98 people in here. We got 98 people on the cutting edge of all this shit. I promise you, there's not another community on the entire internet talking about local models, Mac Studios, DGX, Sparks, OpenClaw, Hermes. 98 people on a Tuesday at noon. So this is pretty cool to think about. Sorry, Daryl. I just wanted to reflect there for a moment.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to be quick. I sent you a DM, and basically, it's just like to help with the 10,000 raised hands system. I also put a post on the call recordings, but it's just an extension that keeps like track of all the reactions. So I don't know if it's something you may want to use.
That will look at the emojis that pop up and keep track of who popped up.
Exactly, and you can check off who you've answered, and you can also export those who
Did you
haven't
build
answered.
that, or
for
is
like
that a thing that existed?
I built it on I think 3 weeks ago on a Saturday, like right after the call of the 10,000 exploding heads. I was like, hey, let me see if I can do something for the community. So
what's it do? It watches the browser and the emojis that pop up?
Exactly. And then it records like the timestamp something happened. So you don't have to like keep track and do it manually. And it's also like easier, more to check it off. And it's a little bit more fair because every time I see like you're writing down things and I'm like, okay, it can be a little bit easier for you and like for everybody else to have it a little bit more like automated, I guess. And
Cool,
it just was built in one morning. So if you want more functionality or something like that, but I was thinking, hey, it's something that's missing from school, so it could be useful. And you can just like ask your Henry to copy it or whatever if you want me to share it with you.
That's very cool. I'm going to check it out. Appreciate it.
All right. Keep it up, man. Thanks for everything.
That was it? That's all you want to tell me?
Yeah,
I just
wanted to share that because it's like every call, it's like the same system every time. So maybe we can do something different.
No, I love that. I'm gonna check out your DM after this. I apologize if I'm not very responsive to DMs. I get literally hundreds of them a day in here. So I'm gonna check it out, Daryl.
It's the biggest community, right? So yeah.
That's amazing. Let's see the mindset Daryl has. Everyone take note. You see a challenge, you solve the challenge. Like this is how you like win in entrepreneurship. You keep an eye out for where the challenges are. You're looking out for all the challenges. The moment you see the challenge, you build something for it. You strike, you build it. No one buys it, that's fine. You just solved the challenge, made your life a little easier. People buy it, good, you made some money, right? So I love that, Daryl. Amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, my man. Very kind of you. Go back to my notes. I'm going to keep Daryl's name there so I can remember to look at the chat after. All right, let's see. Let me make sure this person's here. I might be pronouncing it wrong. Naaman? Naaman, what's going on, dude?
I've been solving the issue with Claude as far as the APIs and the OAuth and stuff like that. So I watched your video. Thank you for that. I implemented it, and the API cost just dropped. So that was cool.
Okay, so let me make sure I get this straight. Because people don't really tell me when I give a recommendation it works. They only tell me when I give a recommendation and it doesn't work. So you implemented the new system, the orchestrator and the brain and muscle system, and it dramatically reduced your costs.
Oh yeah, it dropped.
So this is good. This is good to go through for the entire group here. We got 99 people here, but a Opus ban isn't one. What did you use? So which models did you use for the different muscles? Walk through your setup if you don't mind.
Okay, so essentially I was using, Ortho for I would sign in, blah, 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 what everybody else was using. I paid $200 a month for that, from Anthropic, and that was working great until I got that little message one day that said, and I got the email and it said, get your credits. And I was like, what? And so you produced a video, I think, was it 2 days later, a day later, something like that. And so I watched the video. And so now my brain is still Opus 4.6. It's still there, but I switched over to API. But before I watched your video, I was burning through a ton of API tokens, a ton. I was like, oh geez, I can't do this. So I'm going to cancel my Anthropic account, do all that stuff. I was going to until I watched your video. So I said, let me try this. I was skeptical. Believe me, I was skeptical. I think it was going to work. And so I put it in place. I made it the muscle, the brain. And then I used OpenAI, their highest model that they have out right now. It's changing, and I made that the muscle. All right. But that was basically, my OAuth account, basically, an Ortho account that I used for that. And my cost just dropped.
Amazing.
For my API. I did sign up. I did have to pay more for OpenAI because I signed up for the $200 plan, right? But I was able to offload everything. And I used your prompt that you said as far as make sure the sub-agents use the lower tier or the lower price model, which in this case for me would be the OpenAI. And that worked out pretty well. But I ran into something. I said, well, maybe I can drop my cost even more. And I'm going to put this in the chat, and I'm still testing it. And I don't know if it's going to work. It may not never work. Who knows? But I found this here. I put the link to it. And there's an API that I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. Kia.ai. Have you heard of that before? I put it in the chat. Kia.
Oh, yeah. You put it in the chat. Let me scroll down. Oh, no, I'm not very familiar with that.
So they have an API for Opus 4.6. And the cost to use it is probably, they say you use it is 65% less than if you got it from Anthropic. And it could vary to 35%, 65%. So I tried hooking it up directly to OpenClaw as the brain, and it got close to working, and then it failed. So I'm getting close to getting that to work, but I'm thinking that I could basically program it to have whatever model Anthropic has I want to use as the muscle, but use the API.
Yeah. And are you using for the brain muscle system, are you using just one agent and then sub-agents for the muscles, or have you spun up multiple OpenClaws to do the muscle work?
So I have older computers, which I wanted to see if this system would work with older computers. So yes, I have spun up multiple open claws on different computers. But based on your video, I just said, you know what? I'm going to tell, my orchestrator, in this case, Winston. I'm going to tell Winston to create sub-agents, but according to your instructions, tell the sub-agents to use a different LLM, right? And so that's what I did. And so now when it uses a sub-agent, it uses the OpenAI, whatever model I tell it to use.
Okay. Basically, it's using sub-agents for every muscle then, it sounds like.
Right. And so I'm using OpenAI for that, and the costs have dropped. And everything's running the way that it should, as it was before, which is good. So, but I'm still trying to see if I can get this API from Kia, I'm pronouncing it right, Kaya, whatever, to work. If I can get that to work, that means I can make my muscles even smarter for cheaper.
I'll have to experiment with that. Would you be able to share how much your costs have dropped using the new system?
Yeah, I got it up here right now. Let's see. Let me expand this up.
Could you put a link to the video to how to set this up as well?
Yeah, it's I think it's I'll put it in the chat right now. I think it's my latest YouTube video, but let me see. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, so
I think I put, if I remember correctly, I think I put it in I think I created one just for the community as well. Let me see if I did that. OpenClaw Masterclass. OpenClaw, no, I did OpenClaw custom. Okay, I'll put the YouTube video in. I did a post. I did a post in the community that described it, but I'll put the video in the chat right now. Sorry, Neiman, you can go ahead while I find that link.
Yeah, so before the switchover, I spent basically in one day, and this wasn't for a long period, $105, right? But that didn't include the other days. So when I switched over to the API, once I switched over to your method, the next day, same stuff that I was running, $3.67.
Wow. Unbelievable. That's huge.
I was like, what? So I tested it. Just want to let you know, thank you, it worked. But now I'm trying to see if I can make my muscles smarter, because if I can get this API thing to work, that'd be cool.
Yeah, let us know how it goes. Share your experiences. Feel free to make a post in the community about that Kai or whatever it's called. If it works out well for you, improves things, or feel free to share that as well.
Got too much to do?
That'd be helpful
Launch
for a
your
lot of
personal
people.
AI assistant with one-click OpenClaw from Hostinger.
I know it's one
Get
question
everything
per
you
person, but I have
I'd say
one
it's
more
a
question,
tier
if
below.
you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, so I'll take your question, Naaman, and it sounds like Ope has a question for you. So I'll answer your question, then Ope can ask you a question. So
Okay.
Naaman, you up?
All right, so sessions. All right. So if I go into OpenClaw, do a // and do session, right? Or if I do / and reset, what's the difference between the two? Does it flush the context both, or do they do the same thing, or does one do more than the other?
I'm going to be honest. I don't do much of either, so I don't know. I'm going to just be honest. I'd ask OpenClaw. I'd say, hey, what's the difference between these two commands to you? I don't use either. I have a Telegram chat up on my screen at all times for Henry, and I just chat with it all day. I never think about new sessions. I never think about flushing it. It just works for me. It just works. So I never really do those things.
Okay.
If you guys are curious what my screen looks like at all times, I'll just quickly share. I think I could share like my monitor. So I have two monitors, and I have two Mac Studio displays. One is the one I'm looking at you guys at. This is my active work monitor. The other is kind of my AI agent monitor, where I have my agents up at all times. Here's what it looks like. So I have Henry and my Hermes agents over here on the bottom left. Then I have 2 Claude Code sessions because I'm always building out Henry Intelligent Machines up here, working on different parts of Henry Intelligent Machines. Here on the right-hand side, this is actually the ChatGPT desktop app. I think ChatGPT 5.4 Pro is an excellent, excellent model that gives you really, really good in-depth answers for complex questions. And so I always have it up just in case I get complex questions to ask it. It takes like 20 minutes to respond to you just because it really thinks hard about whatever question you give it. But I like to have it up at all times just in case I run into really complex problems. And then down here is just my to-do list. And I just have it up at all times, make sure I'm, sticking to my task. So if people are curious, I forgot, someone asked something earlier that made me want to show this, but if you're just curious kind of what my monitor setup is, I have this up at all times on one of my monitors, just to make sure I'm always kind of engaging with my agents. Cool, Naaman, I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing how you cost saved. Ope, did you want to ask Naaman a question about his system?
Yeah, was that cost savings on Codex or was it on Claude?
Claude.
Damn, can I call you and then pay you hourly to help me do that? I'm not joking. Seriously,
I stumbled across it, so thank Alex for implementing. But each person's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, I don't mind if you want. That's fine.
Yeah, if you could, or just share the video, whatever Alex video you saw that in, because maybe I missed that part. But yeah, that'd be super helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I put the video, the YouTube video, in the chat. I'm a little insulted. You're part of my community, but you don't watch all my YouTube videos the moment I post them. Okay, that's a little Jesus, man.
I normally do, but like I'm building right now, and like that OAuth thing just tripped me out. So yeah, I saw you on, Twist. I'm up to date on all things FinFam.
I'm playing.
OnlyFins.
I'm playing. You're part of OnlyFins. All right, then that's your excuse. You don't need to watch every video when it comes out. Someone said, let's do a Scrum call. Listen, you guys, I highly encourage you, if you want to do small meetup calls, things like that, highly, highly encouraged. I think you can do it through school. If you can't and you want to set up like a Scrum call, let me know. I'll schedule it so you guys can do it. I'm setting up a Zoom now. Any way you want to do it, you can do it. I'm happy to. If you guys come up with like a regular time, like I'll schedule a call every Monday at 10 a.m. or whatever you want, and you guys can just join and like chat about whatever. I'm happy to do that. Scott's put up the 2 fingers.
Yeah,
What's up, Scott?
I just actually put in your community I did the exact same thing. So if anyone wants to join that, I don't know what a best platform would be, but I love these chats. I think we can learn a lot from each other, and it doesn't take a lot of your time. We can kind of answer some of those questions within that our own little like WhatsApp or another session with or without you. But it would help with getting all of us together on a consistent basis, or at least seeing what we need help with. So if you guys want to all put your emails there, maybe we could find another solution. Or Alex, if you want to suggest one as well, like you just did, you could just leave a comment on that thing under your.
How about I do this? I put a standing. We'll call it Wednesday, just because that's the closest to today is tomorrow. I'll put a standing Wednesday call, noon Pacific. I understand it's not going to work for everybody. There won't be a time that works for everybody. I'll do Wednesday, noon Pacific. I'll put it in there. I'll do like a 2 to 3 hour call. I'll show up sometimes. I'm not gonna be able to show up all the time. I took a bunch of money from investors, so I got to be working on that thing they're paying me to work on. But you guys can join, talk about whatever, share tips, use it as kind of a scrum. And
we could also have like an ongoing, like, I guess you could say WhatsApp chat. I have one with like this Tony Robbins group, but like if you have a question or whatever, you can just answer it, or we could jump into that meeting if you have it open 24/7 or whatever. Like, hey, let's just jump into this call right now. And that way we have access to an open meeting, and then we have a communication on a consistent basis. If we want to, it might get annoying if you don't have your notifications off, but just keep it as hidden. And
I'm down to open up a Telegram chat.
Something like that. I mean,
on that, but with my agents, I'm down to open that up. I'm going to be honest. I don't love like live chats because it's just I've never been like a Discord guy. I just find live chats is just too much going on. It's too overwhelming for me, but I'll set it up anyway because then you guys can get use out of it. And yeah, then you can organize if you want to organize, off-platform Zoom calls. You can do that. But I want to have at least just one standing meeting, maybe Wednesdays at noon, where it's just like it's obvious to everyone who's just casually going into the community, what time they can just join up and ask questions to each other.
Alex, are we still on the list?
For the questions, we are. We just went off track because that's just how I operate.
No worries. I just was checking in.
Andre, I have you on. What's up?
Just to add on this weekly meeting, are we able to join even though if you're not there?
I think so. Every time I come into this meeting, there's already 100 people here talking to each other. So I assume that means you can all join and talk.
And we are able to share a screen, for example?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Share your screen right now. Will it work?
Nope.
I haven't given permission to anyone to share their screen.
I'm waiting
Give it a shot.
to share screen. Yeah.
Oh, so you need approval? I could probably play with the settings though, right? I could probably play with the settings to make it work. Input, output, let's see. I'll play around with the settings to see what I can do. Yeah. Discord, I don't like Discord. Discord pisses me off. There's just too many bings, boops, bops. There's too many buttons and pop-ups, and it's just too much. Discord's too much for me. Does anyone else feel that way? Discord? When people say, hey, can we chat on Discord real quick? I go, I'm never talking to you again. Like, that's never happening. That will never happen. I don't know. I've had my Discord dog days where I was in Discord at 3 a.m. and I don't want to go back to those days. Too much going on. Too many notifications, pop-ups, pay for this, support this channel, buy diamonds, buy gems, buy gold, buy... It's like, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. I just want to chat with people. I don't know. Maybe that's me. Bans my OpenClaw too. If you do Zoom, you can still put it into the school. That's true. Can I do like a recurring... I guess I could do a recurring Zoom call and put a link into the event. Discord is horrible. Makes me feel like a 16-year-old video game player. Sometimes I want to feel like a 16-year-old video game player, but not when I'm... I don't know, trying to conquer the world with AI, I guess. I'll try to see if I can do a weekly standing Zoom. I'm sure you can schedule Zoom calls for weekly recurring. So I'll figure that out. I'll put it in there. I want to make Anders happy. So let me just finish this list. I know we're a little bit over, but it's a beautiful day. Let's go over. Patrick M.
Hey, Alex, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You.
Yeah, you too. I love these live calls. I just wanted to make a quick comment. First of all, I'm grateful to be a part of this community. I'm approaching 57, and I thought I'd be the old guy here, and I'm surprised and grateful to see a lot of older people, is that the right word to say, who, I've done 35 years in the railroad. That's all I've ever known, driving trains. And here I am, last few months just diving into AI. And it scared me for a long time, the tech, coding, all of it. But I saw you about a month or so ago and just thought I'd, join the community and start learning. And it's a little scary. And all this is so alien to me. But I can tell you, I've learned quite a bit in the last month. And that inspires me moving forward, and saying, I don't want to do what I've been doing for so long. I want to try something different. Just wanted to say that and show my gratitude.
That's amazing, Patrick. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you being part of all the live streams too on YouTube, man. That means the world that you'd hang out with me there, then hang out with me here. We're on the absolute cutting edge. If you went to Harvard right now, if you went to MIT, if you went to Yale, there's no courses teaching any of this, right? This is the only really way to get this type of knowledge. So it's exciting. I'm excited to be here with you guys. I'm very, very appreciative. I'm very excited people want to do the bonus Scrum meetings and all that. I want to enable you guys in any way I can. So I will set up the Scrums, make sure you guys can meet any way I can. Listen, if you all revolt and say, no, Discord, I'll go on Discord. I don't give a shit. I'll do it. I'll go on Discord if you guys want. But I'll set up Telegram and all that.
I think Telegram's great. We all can just message each other because we're all from different time zones around the world. So
I could probably set up channels in there too. Like, right? Because groups, you can have channels, maybe. I don't know. I just talked to my open clause there, but I'll figure it out.
Thanks, Alex.
Of course, my man. Speaking to MIT, what's the presentation you mentioned that's happening there? Is it open to the public? So MIT is they have an AI conference from, I think it's just Thursday and Friday this week. And it's being run by, I think in part, the investors of Henry 021T. That's co-owned by Alex Wisner Gross. It's just for the conference, so I don't think it'll be live streams or anything. I'm basically presenting my vision for the future of AI agents and then demoing Henry as a kind of way to back up that vision. Because really what spawned all this is I went on Moonshots like a month ago, and they kind of just asked me what my vision of the future was, AI agents. And AWG liked it so much, he's like, I just want to give you money. Let's make this work. I want to invest in you. And I said, all right. So I'll be basically doing that same exact thing, but at MIT this week. So I'm flying to Boston tomorrow, flying back Saturday, and present at MIT, which is cool. I went to WIT for college. I went to Wentworth Institute of Technology, which is a significantly worse college than MIT. So it feels pretty cool to go from WIT to MIT. Wentworth did not have much of a admission blocker, and you apply, you get in. You apply, you get in. Every time I tell people I went to Wentworth, they're like, "Oh, so you must be from Boston." I go, "No." They're like, "You flew from out of state to go to Wentworth? What are you, crazy?" So yeah, that's it's cool. It's cool. So I appreciate it. I want to answer one question from the chat before I get to the final two questions from HUD and Anders. I just saw a question I really liked that I want to quickly answer. And it looks like Anders, it was you who put it in the chat. I don't know if it's going to be the same question you're going to ask when I call on you, but it was, how do I improve authenticity and natural voice for my YouTube content? It's a great question. I really like that question a lot, so I wanted to answer it. I started on YouTube in August 2024. So I quit my job in the corporate world in April 2023. I mostly quit it because my Twitter hit like 100,000 followers. I'm like, okay, I have an audience. I can do something here. I can build a business. I'm going to quit because I know YouTube is the holy grail. I know YouTube, if you conquer that, like that's as big as it gets. It's the biggest audience on planet Earth. So I'm going to go quit my job and pursue that. I didn't post my first YouTube video until a year and a half later after I quit my job, August 2024. That's how scared and nervous I was of turning on the camera and speaking into it. It took me a year and a half to grow the balls to speak into a camera. And so finally, August 2024, I felt inspiration because I discovered Cursor, and I was like, this is the coolest shit I've ever used in my life. I want to talk about it. And so I turn on my camera, I start talking. Actually, my first video wasn't even about Cursor. It was just kind of an introduction to myself. I was so unbelievably nervous. I didn't delete it. You can go up. I mean, I have a few videos before, but they're kind of just me playing around with my Apple Vision Pro. But my first like real video, August 2024, you can check. I think it's called like Finding Purpose in Content or something. You can watch it. It's the most awkward 10 minutes you've ever seen in your entire life of me talking into the camera. Zero authentic. I mean, it was authentically me, but it didn't sound real just because I was nervous and like I didn't know how to speak to a camera and a microphone. So, Anders, to answer your question in the chat, there is only one good way to sound more authentic and sound better on camera, and that is to talk about things you care about over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's the only way. Find something you care deeply about. I assume you care deeply about AI if you're in this community. You turn on the camera. You speak about it. You don't care if it's bad. You don't care if it's crappy. I'm censoring myself because I see Ope's daughter on camera, so I'm not going to curse in front of her. Although he has his headphones on, so I'm sure she can't hear it. And so you just do it. And you just sound more now. I swear to you, I did my first like public speaking like 4 years ago. I did a Twitter space. I mean, you guys been on Twitter spaces. It's like a live podcast. It was in front of 10 people. I was sweating bullets. I was so nervous to talk in front of 10 people on that. The only way to feel more authentic, the only way to get better at public speaking, the only way to improve the content, you just do it over and over and over again. And you also think deeply every time about what's the one thing I can improve? What's the one thing I can get better at? Right? Maybe I spoke too quick. Let me slow it down a little bit. Maybe I used too many ums and ahs. Let me get rid of those. You just find the one thing to tweak and improve between each and every one. And over time, after enough repetitions, you'll improve, you'll be fire. I think it took me like 6 months to get to 1,000 subs. And then 12 months later, it's at 100,000, right? You just got to keep it moving, keep it going, improving.
Can I jump in after the next person goes to respond?
Yeah, so the last two are HUD and then Anders. So we'll do HUD and then Anders. You can jump back in and follow up and ask whatever questions you want if that works. So HUD, is there a HUD here? Let me check the list to see if he's still here.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
How you doing, HUD?
Hey, good. I don't really have that many questions, I guess, but because you've already kind of answered them all. Dude, it really stinks though that they cut that off, man. I'm back to vibe coding. I spent 6 months. My start of this journey was basically I'm a scientist and I was doing data for state of Alaska, and I vibe coded this app. It took me like 6 months. Every tool you could think of, from like audio AI to video to visual, have all those tools. And then I built Daisy because Claude came out, and it's been so fun, except this recently. So this little challenge is a big hump. I don't really. I'm building some agentic stuff as well, like you were talking about. I'm super nervous, but I got a lot of stuff. So I'm running a lot. I just hope I don't have any local models yet. So I don't really have any. I guess just this is awesome. The class is amazing. I'm actually, like you were saying, I'm nervous. So I got a link below on a Zoom. If anyone wants to jump on, just talk shit about Q&A about this stuff. And you always say solve the problem that AI can't. And you know what it can't solve? It can't solve when your trash goes out. I don't know if anyone knows that, but yeah, like when your trash, if you live in a house, when your trash goes out, it just can't. Like I had to do that one time. I have my old house that I had now rent. New tenants came in, tried looking up, just to give them the what day it comes out. Like I couldn't find it. And so I did more search. And I used every agentic browser that you can like find at the time. It was like probably 6 months ago, 5 months ago. And they can't. And so now I've been building my bot's Daisy, because my first truck was called Daisy. And she's got over like 5 million addresses already. And I was able to go on a YouTube video, a local San Diego lifestyle YouTube, and show my shit. So that's cool. So anyways, just want to say build some cool shit, man. So thanks.
I love it, man. It's great to have you here, HUD. I'm glad you spoke. You said you're nervous. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have you speak again. I don't care if you spew bullshit. We're gonna have you speak. I guarantee you, 2 months time, you're gonna be a natural. Oh, there's no cheat codes for public speaking. Zero. The only way is through. That the only way is through. You just got to do it.
Yeah. So one of my sites is actually called noui.bot, because I really do believe that there's this whole agentic future where it's all bot related. My site is just one black page, right? So it's just for MCP billing and crap like that. But and stuff like that. And then I'm actually developing a little CAPTCHA kind of thing. Usually you have to say I'm not a bot. But I want to try making the site so where you have to be a bot, and you have to be a bot to be able to get in to solve that CAPTCHA or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I'm working on that right now. It's just so fun. So anyways, I'll let you get back to your stuff.
I appreciate that, HUD. Thank you, man. Thank you for being a part of the community, getting a little uncomfortable, trying new things. It's amazing. And then last question, my man's been waiting. Anders, what's up?
What's up, Alex? So I just want to say I appreciate everyone here. I am definitely nervous. I relate to that spaces thing a lot. I've been in a lot of like high pressure business meetings, but this is totally different. Like this is like a social interaction on a next level. But basically, you answered the authenticity part really well. My follow up to that is like, I'm not going to be sharing my face just because I don't record it for religious reasons. I posted on your live about bipolar and my history with that. But regardless, my next question is about pitching to investors. So I have an idea that an aspect of it is training a model on handwriting. I don't know if you've seen the movie Her, but when they speak into the microphone and then it shows the handwriting on the screen. Part of my app will clone your handwriting and then do it the same and then send out letters in the mail. But there's a whole nother algorithm part to it and some IP I don't really want to reveal, but I'm wondering how much should I reveal and how much shouldn't I? And how should I think about that?
When you say how much should you reveal, you mean like just to the public?
To the public or like someone that even like an investor, should I just tell them? I don't want to overwhelm them too. Like I want to get the core idea across.
I mean, if you're going to pitch investors, you have to talk about the core idea. If there's something proprietary about how it works, you don't need to do that. But if you can say, "Hey, this is what it's going to do," and then you have a demo of it and can show them actually the thing, you should do that.
Okay, I can do that. That's no problem. And then for my YouTube channel, it's like I have 150 subscribers. And I like got some from posting to another channel and they all came over to my channel. I guess you answered the question, but it's just a matter of like, I just went through Ramadan, so I slept basically through a lot of the month and my YouTube's like not been active. If I follow your advice and then like, how often should I be posting?
When I started, I went for one a week to kind of get the, routine down. About 6 months in, I took like 2 months off because I was looking to release Creator Buddy, which was my first SaaS. And so I was so locked into coding that I didn't post for like a good 2 months, about 6 months in. So your channel's not going to die because you don't post for a while. I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't be like, oh no, I haven't posted in 2 weeks, it's done. Like that shouldn't be a thought. But for the first year or so, I aimed for one a week. One a week will get you into a good routine.
Okay, I'll just wrap it up here because I have a lot of other ventures going, so I may have to definitely schedule that. Should I also be focusing on X because I do have a small following there and I do interact a bit. I've been writing a few articles and a few posts, but it hit and miss.
If you, I'm going to assume your content might be around tech or AI. If that's the case, then X is like the best platform for tech and AI. All the tech world is on there. And so I think you should definitely be on X if like your focus is going to be on tech.
Okay, I'll stick to those two and I'll take your advice on the prototype to show an investor to kind of show the example. So I really appreciate this community. I just joined a week ago and this is really cool. So thanks.
Amazing, Anders. I wish you luck with the investors and all that. I think you're going to crush, man. I'm excited to see your content journey. Make sure to share your YouTube and X in the community so we can all subscribe and follow. And
I'll post it. What's the best one to post it under? Like,
just do general. Say, hey guys, started a YouTube channel. Really want to build my platform here. Feel free to check it out if you want to subscribe or anything.
Cool.
Can I ask a 10-second question?
Yeah, what's up, JL?
10 seconds. So I know when I signed up, there's like something where we could pay to do one-on-one hour sessions with you. What's the best way to get in contact with you to do those types of things?
Did you get that higher tier?
No, I didn't now, but I don't even know where to get it now. You just upgrade in school? Is that where it's at?
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere in school. I think there should be an option to upgrade. If not, try canceling and then doing the higher tier one after. Cool. That's guaranteed to work. But I feel like there should be an upgrade path. I try looking for the upgrade path. I'll give a look too and let you know if I can find anything.
Hey, thanks. Apologize for hopping in late.
No, listen, man, it's all good. It's all good in the hood.
Hey, Alex, can I pop in a question really quick?
Yes, we'll do that. We'll make this the last one because I'm starving and we've gone 2.5 hours.
So I just thank you, man. I appreciate it. I just posted it on our chat. That's my default setting for like my starter basis because I just started. And do you think that's the best cost efficient way to kind of like get started in the AI agent system?
So default, you can use 5.4 as kind of your orchestrator, it looks like, and then ask first. I mean, so if your default one's going to be 5.4, it's fine. ChatGPT is good. It's solid. It's not as reliable as Opus. It's just what it comes down to. So if you're just starting off, you're getting your feet wet, you don't want to spend too much money off the rip, that's fine. You know, you get used to how to speak to OpenClaw, what it can do, what it's capable of. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 to 3 weeks we get another ChatGPT model that blows it out of the water, and then all of a sudden maybe you don't even need to think about Anthropic after that. So yeah, if you're just starting off and you already have an OpenAI subscription, then I think that works fine.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it, man. That's it.
I appreciate you too. I think someone said they put a Zoom link in there. So if you guys want to continue your conversation, yeah, it looks like HUD put a Zoom link. So feel free to join that to continue the conversation if you want. I'm going to go eat lunch because I am very, very hungry. I deeply, deeply appreciate everyone who's joined, for being in the community, for engaging and leaning in and being a part of these calls and asking questions and learning. I think we're on the cutting edge here. I think we're doing some amazing shit that really other people, especially others on the internet, are not doing. And I appreciate you sticking around and learning and going on this journey with me. So thank you so much. I will be back for the next boot camp, which will be next Friday. I'm going to be posting videos in the classroom along the way, so you'll get updates there. And yeah, I'll also set up the kind of Wednesday scrums as well, so you guys can join that. So thank you, everyone. Love you all. We'll talk very soon. Bye.